Welcome to Follow the Content Leaders, a podcast where we will learn how leaders, entrepreneurs, CEOs, coaches, and consultants use their content in their business strategies. Hi, everyone. Good morning and welcome to the Follow the Content Leaders podcast, a podcast where we want to learn about how leaders, entrepreneurs, and CEOs, coaches, and consultants use their content in their business strategies. I'm super happy today because I'm joined by Lucía Marín. Lucía is the CEO and co-founder of Diluu. I hope I pronounced that correctly. A company that's currently transforming the way in which we learn languages and that has as its mission to help expat families connect with their kids and their roots through fun lessons and vibrant community. So welcome, Lucía. How are you this morning?
Very good. Thank you very much for having me here.
Great to have you here. So, first, I always like to start these interviews by asking a question that has nothing to do with content, but that will help us get to know you better. And that is, what is the one thing that you cannot work without?
I will say I cannot work without my Pomodoro timer because I get easily distracted. So it really helps me to stay focused and to really be productive.
Cool. How long have you been using it?
Oh, I've been using this since I was studying at university. So maybe like 8 years or something like that. Yeah. Maybe I'm one
Wow.
of the like more the best customers they have or the longest. I don't know.
Yes. It's the app where you schedule like 20 minutes deep work
Yeah, so
sessions, right?
I use the Chrome extension. So I
Mm-hmm.
work with intervals of 25 minutes and then I rest
Mm-hmm.
for 5 minutes. And I normally organize my day in blocks of 4 pomodoros for each task. And
Mm-hmm.
now I use that with Notion where there is like an integration. So yeah, it
Okay.
works very well for me.
Cool. I've never tried it. I've heard about it. I've been in meetings with people telling me like my Pomodoro is starting to finish. I need to go, but I have never tried it myself, so I
Yeah.
might.
Sometimes it makes you become a bit of a psycho. Like my boyfriend talks to me and I'm like, no, I'm in the middle of a Pomodoro. Wait 12 minutes. I speak with you in 12 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in general, it's a good thing.
Cool. Yeah. Great. So, and now, yes, a bit more of what you do. So, what is your company doing? If you can explain a bit better than I did, I'm sure you can give us some more
Yeah.
insights.
Yeah, so my company is Diluu. We do online language lessons for kids. At the moment, we are focusing on Spanish and French. And the cool thing about these lessons are that they have a game format. And also, we focus on a very specific niche. So we target expat families. For example, for Spanish, it would be someone from Spain that moved to the UK, married someone there, maybe a British guy, and they're raising their kids in the UK. So these kids normally share similar issues when it comes to language development, like in the case of Spanish. So the most common one is that they will understand the language, but they will struggle to speak it. This is a bit
Mm-hmm.
frustrating for parents because, like, if I'm speaking Spanish with someone, you will expect that they will reply in Spanish, but if the kids reply in English, then they are not happy about that. So we run these small groups where they get to improve their language skills, but also they get to meet other kids that are in a similar situation and live all over the world. So this also kind of opens their minds to see that it's not only their parents that speak the language, but also more kids in other countries. So it's really cool. They do a lot of cultural exchange exercises and things like that.
So cool. I love the idea of your business, and I've seen you've been at it for almost 5 years, right?
Yeah, so actually we started doing this during the pandemic. So we started the business in 2019 in London, and it was a very different business. We were working with the schools and nurseries, providing Spanish teachers, because since Brexit, it was a bit hard for them to outsource them. So I was very happy because I started this business, and after 6 months, I had enough clients to quit my full-time job, go full on in the
Mm-hmm.
business. And then on the 20th of March, then the pandemic started. All of my clients had to shut down their businesses. So I was like, okay, let's try if this can work online. I was very hesitant if this was going to be a thing for children to do it online. And it
Mm-hmm.
started working very well. And as we were online, we didn't know how long the pandemic was going to last for. So we started targeting more people with our marketing efforts. So not only families in London, but also like in the UK, in the US, in the Middle East. And we started getting lots of messages from these kind of expat families asking if we had this kind of advanced courses. So I had
Mm-hmm.
no idea about this situation, and I started looking into this, and I was like, okay, so this is a big thing, and it's the similar issue for these families in the US, for these families in France, for these families in Japan. So let's do
Mm-hmm.
something about it.
That's great, right? How the market tells you what it's actually needed and not you
Yeah.
just launching a product that's perfect for validation. Such a cool story. And then now pivoting a bit more into the content, how have you used content in your business strategy to build up all of these clients that you have now all around the world?
So I didn't use content as much as I should have used content, I guess, because as we were in the pandemic, we had to pivot, we had to change our business model, our systems, and everything. And we are a very small team, so everyone was having a lot of different jobs, wearing all the hats, doing many different things. So for marketing, we were mainly using Facebook ads, using Facebook groups, and we started like getting a lot of customers, so we had to focus more on the tech side of things so that this was sustainable for them and so that it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't chaotic for us. So at that point, we didn't focus that much on content. It was mainly my business partner. Making content on Instagram and also on Facebook, which now we have grown kind of a bigger audience on social media, and we are starting to pay more attention to content and develop content marketing plans for other platforms. At the moment, we are really working on improving our blog to create more resources for our audience.
Mm-hmm. And so you've mentioned Facebook, Instagram. Are those the two main channels where you've created content and it's
Yeah.
worked for you?
Yeah, exactly. Although I must say that you need to be very patient to see results with content. I am glad that we knew this was going to be important, so we started generating content since day one. We have
Mm-hmm.
improved our quality, and then recently we started to see that this organic content that we have on social media is starting to get us some results, and we are getting clients from there and not only from the ads.
Mm-hmm. So this is you started 5 years ago and only now you're getting results, or you also got
Yeah,
some
I will
results
say
before?
pretty recently, like maybe last year, we started seeing like proper results, not only one person or two, but a
Mm-hmm.
bigger percentage of the whole channel view.
Yeah. And would you say it's because of something changed in your strategy at that point or just the compounding effect?
I think it's both. I think it's the compounding effect. Also, we have been working with different consultants to see how we could improve our content as well. We have learned on the go from our analytics, so
Mm-hmm.
like things that work, things that didn't work. So I think it's a little bit of a mix, but also the compound effect, and I think being consistent with it is the biggest player there.
Yeah, cool. And so we've mentioned the two platforms that you mostly use and that have given you the most results. And now I'm interested in also knowing which are the platforms where you enjoy to consume content and where you go to get information or be
Yeah.
entertained.
So I go mainly to Instagram and LinkedIn. We
Mm-hmm.
don't create much content on LinkedIn as a company yet, but it's because everyone is still wearing many hats and we don't have the time. And I know that when we go for it, we need to be very consistent and create content regularly. So we haven't started yet.
That's okay. And until now, you've said you've had some consultants, but you've also created most of the content internally by your business partner. Have you ever thought about hiring someone external or someone full time internally to handle all of that? And how would you think about doing that?
Yeah, I think at some point we will need to start delegating some parts of it. I think it is a bit tricky for us. I think maybe if we were to do it, it would be better to have someone internally taking care of it because it's
Mm-hmm.
a very specific niche. Moms, mainly moms, bilingualism education, these kind of situations that they are living. So everything is like really specific, so I think it will need to be someone that already has this knowledge of the audience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean the amount of content that I guess you are generating, and correct me if I'm wrong, must be a big volume. So whenever it's such a big volume, it's always better, I think, to internalize it than externalize it just because it's cheaper
Yeah,
in a
it's,
way.
yeah, exactly, I agree.
And yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, I just said that I agree with you. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when you were, if you were looking to hire this person to incorporate them to the team, like what would be the qualities that you'd be looking on that person?
Well, first I will be looking at their portfolio to see if growing, because I think there are different stages when growing an audience. So it's not the same taking an account from 0 to 10,000 than taking the account, another account from 500,000 to 1 million. I think it's a very different stage. So I think
Mm-hmm.
it would be important to find someone that has experience doing that kind of a stage that we need, and also with some kind of knowledge already of our audience, because I know you have chat gpt, you can look at up many things online, but it's not the same to if you have already faced these kind of issues, or if you have, or if you know people that have these kind of issues, than to just read an article about it. It's really
Mm-hmm.
about understanding the pain points.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you have a deep knowledge on the pain points, the problems, and what the company is solving, is always easier to create the content both for the creator and then it flows better, right? You create
Yeah,
better
yeah.
content, the client is happier.
Exactly, and I think it's also important that the audience finds the person that is the face of the brand relatable or interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I think finding the person relatable is very important as well.
Yes, definitely. And just curious to see a bit, because you've been then for creating content for a long time, which type of content is the one that you're creating the most? Is it videos? Is it blog posts, as you mentioned? Like, what would the content that you've created the most
So
be?
the most is videos, reels, and then we test
Mm-hmm.
which reels are getting more views or more engagement, which ones are doing better, and then those we can use for ads as well sometimes.
Mm-hmm. And do you use any type of user generated content? Because I know that on Instagram that works quite well, so I'm just curious about it.
Yeah. We have many families that are real fans of our service, and they create content for us as well. And they like to send us pictures of the kids enjoying the lessons or videos. And yeah, that content does really well. Although, so for example, something we have seen with the analytics is that that content does well, but a video that is funny, even if it's not user generated, but a reel that is funny and they find it relatable because it's about their circumstances, that always works the best for us so far. But the algorithm changes, the people change as well. But yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's more like of an entertainment kind of content,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And yeah, and more like, have you ever used more educational content in the sense of exactly what you teach? How has that exactly performed?
Yeah, we have tried that as well. So normally we do a bit of a combination of everything, because, for example, I'm telling you, yeah, content that is funny performs well, but maybe you make
Mm-hmm.
a funny video thinking that it's going to do well, and for you it's very funny, but the audience doesn't find it very funny, or something else happened, like the thumbnail or something is not good enough. So yeah, we always test different forms of content pretty much every month, and we keep analyzing what's doing better.
Cool. So interesting. And yeah, so you have never actually had an actual strategy, or you just go with whatever comes to mind, or how do you decide these types of content that you just mentioned that you are giving a try every month?
Yeah, so for this is really my business partner taking care of it. So we do quarterly meetings where we analyze what has worked well and what didn't work well, and then we brainstorm ideas for future content that will do well. But then she makes the strategy and the daily planning, well, the weekly planning, and she
Mm-hmm.
organizes everything by herself. But we do these team meetings where we mainly brainstorm and get some ideas to test out.
Yeah, I get that. And would you say your main goal when you're putting content out there, what would that be?
So well, obviously to grow our audience, to reach more families, to get more people to understand what we do, to get to know us as a brand. So yeah, we make content for many different reasons. I
Mm-hmm.
would say maybe the main one will be brand awareness. Yeah,
Yeah, and all the content you're creating is from the corporate profiles, I guess, on Instagram
yeah,
and Facebook, not
yeah.
in your personal brand.
No, we are always do it from the company account.
It's so funny because on Instagram and Facebook, where there are platforms that are more where actual physical persons are, not businesses. What work well is company generated content, and then you go to LinkedIn and it's the complete opposite.
Yeah,
Whereas there you only have businesses, or it should only be business related content, but the only profiles
yes,
that work
yeah.
are the personal ones. So it just amazes me how on Instagram, I know also personal profiles on Instagram and Facebook work, but usually there's also a lot of corporately generated content. Yeah, so this has been great. I don't know if you want to add anything else regarding your content, what you've done this far, or what you've accomplished with your company.
About content, well, we are getting there, growing our audience slowly. It makes me very happy to see that we're getting some results, and also not only like getting results from people that will then buy a course, but sometimes it's this compound effect where someone that wouldn't be part of our audience sees one of our videos, speaks with someone else, and in that way people get to know you. Like the other way, I was speaking with one of our customers, and she said, and I asked her, so how did you know about us? How did you find out about Diluu? And she was like, oh, my neighbor saw one of your reels on Instagram because it was very funny, and she recommended the lessons. And the neighbor is not a client, you know. um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, that really fascinates me. Or like last year, we moved, me and my boyfriend, we moved to Bulgaria, and I signed up
Mm-hmm.
to do this. It's not unrelated, I promise. And I signed up to do some yoga lessons there, and I ended up becoming a really good friend of the yoga teacher. And then I saw she was following our brand on Instagram, and she's not a mom. She doesn't have kids. Well, she's an expat, but she still finds this content funny, and she's learning about this problem that some people have. So yeah, I think
Mm-hmm.
that's a really cool thing.
Yeah, I mean, the lost in translation kind of content can be very, very funny, right? Like, me personally, I think I spoke to you about this. I'm married to a French person. I'm living in Spain. I'm Spanish. And when we met, we only spoke English between us. So we started our relationship in English, and now we just mix all of the languages that we speak. And some situations, like we've had people come to us at bars to ask us, like, where are you from? What are you speaking? Just because we are speaking so many languages, mixing them in a crazy way. So I'm sure that I would be I would feel completely related to any content that you can create. Great. So then, just to close the episode, I wanted to ask you a last question, just because I'm a big fan of reading, not only consuming content on social media, but also reading actual books in paper, no ebooks. So I always like to ask my people who intervene in the podcast, which is the book that have impacted the most in your life. So if you have any book that comes to mind.
Yeah, so I would say the E-Myth. I don't know if you have read it or you have heard about it.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, so the image it has a longer title. I don't remember it now, but it's a book that really explains the difference between having your own business and working for someone else, like maybe like
Mm.
a freelancer, things like this. So the point when I read it, when I was starting this company and I was still teaching some Spanish at some schools and nurseries, this really helped me like click and connect the dots and be like, okay, so I need to organize this in a different way. So yeah, I found that very helpful, like life wise. But I
Mm-hmm.
read mainly business books. I don't like to read fiction, and any of Alex Hormozzi's books, I love them. Yeah,
Yeah, I've read them too. Yeah, and I also mainly read like business or personal development books. I don't really like fiction.
yeah. Then to have fun, then I go on Instagram instead of reading fiction. Yeah.
I get that. Okay, great. So this has been great. Thank you so much again for agreeing to participate, and we will maybe see you in a later episode.
Thank you very much, Monica.
Thank
Have a nice
you.
day.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.